Good morning, everybody. I've noticed last week that a lot of you were talking about using a thesaurus to work on increasing vocabulary and trying to use fancier words. And I applaud that instinct. I think it's a great way to increase your vocabulary. But there's something that's more important than that in writing, to my mind, and that is clarity and precision and the integrity between your words and your ideas. So if you have a simple idea, you don't need a fancy word or a fancy sentence construction to express it. If you have a complex idea, then you need a complex word or a complex sentence structure. But whatever it is, when the reader senses you behind your words, what they're sensing is the integrity between your words and your ideas. And I think that's probably slightly more important than increasing one's vocabulary, although one should certainly work on that as well. So there's a discussion in the forums this week that looks at one of your colleagues' thesis statements and sort of I'm asking you to analyze it and discuss it. But I want to talk really quickly about this idea of transition words. Most of you, again, probably know what this is, but transitions are words that connect up other words in ways that depend on the choice of transition. So one of the ways that one achieves this integrity is a smooth flow of ideas. And the way you achieve a smooth flow of your ideas is to join up your concepts and your phrases and your sentences with these transitions. And so there's really only one kind of transition I want to talk about today. There are transitions called conjunctions. And they join, as the word suggests, they join together other words. And because words live inside of ideas, and your words on the page are the only way you have to convey your ideas, they're joining up your ideas. And so ease of flow between ideas for a reader is a critical thing. And readers notice this even if they don't consciously know what they're talking about. So conjunctions, joining words, there are really two kinds. There's coordinating and there's subordinating. I'm just going to talk about coordinating today because it's a good lesson to attach to this thesis statement of your colleagues. There are only 7 coordinating conjunctions, and they are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And the acronym is FANBOYS, F-A-N-B-O-Y-S. That's how you can remember what a coordinating conjunction is. In English, there are only 7 of them, and they're easy to remember if you remember that little acronym FANBOYS. What the use of a coordinating conjunction conveys to a reader is a kind of shorthand that says I've got idea A and I've got idea B, and I'm joining them up with a coordinating conjunction. That means both ideas are of equal importance, coordinating. Okay? And that's a kind of a shorthand that a reader reads and senses when they read. Okay? So if your ideas are of equal importance, you want to be sure that you convey that with the use of the proper rhetorical glue that holds it together. So when I use for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, I'm saying these two ideas are of equal importance. So when you ask a reader to determine which idea is of more importance, and you've joined it with a coordinating conjunction, the reader has no clue as to which idea is more important. The other kind of conjunction that we need to be concerned about is called a subordinating conjunction, and you can guess what that means. One idea is more important than the other. So here's a real simple example. When I say the sentence, I went to the bank and I went to the grocery store, bank, grocery store, equal importance because I have chosen to use the word and that conveys to the reader the shorthand or the code, the two ideas are of equal importance. If I say that's a coordinating conjunction, fanboys. If I say I went to the bank before I went to the grocery store, before is a different kind of joining word. It's a kind of subordinating conjunction, although that's not really what it is. But what that conveys is went to the bank is more important than going to the grocery store. I went to the bank before I went to the grocery store conveys absolutely to a reader going to the bank is the more important of the two ideas because of the joining word. And that is absolute, no question about it. You can figure it out, and there's 100% accuracy. So if that's what you mean, then use that sentence construction. If you meant that it was more important for you to go to the grocery store, then you'd have to write the sentence in a different way using a different construction. This is a little more complicated than I'm making it right now, but I'm giving you this for the purposes of this lesson. Okay? So, and the only other discussion you're going to have this week, I've used one of your colleagues' thesis statements as a lesson, and your task is explained in the discussion, but I want you to talk about the different ideas, how they're related, and then see if you can figure out which idea is the most important, because a thesis statement has only one main idea. And you're going to telegraph that to your reader the way you write the sentence. It's the nuts and bolts. It's the way the thing is nailed together that says to a reader absolutely clearly, this is the most important idea. Okay? And that thesis statement that I'm putting up for you, it was perfectly fine as a draft, but the relationship between the ideas was unclear. And I want you to talk about that and then figure out what you think is the most important idea, and then we'll talk about how that could be rewritten on a second draft. Okay, so thank you for listening. That's all. So go do that other discussion, and I'll see you in the forum. Bye.